It's really hot,
So
and
it's
so it's the
requiring us
charger.
for a letter.
That's what Lori said hers did one time.
And
And
I
I-
laid both of them on your desk,
Okay.
but something's not right.
Okay.
So I got the color.
Yeah. All right, it's 7 o'clock, so we'll call this December board meeting to order. In front of you, you have an updated agenda.
Move to approve.
Second, all in favor? 3.0, hearing of patrons, Ms. Erica Carr, you got the floor.
Hello, some of you know I sent you guys an email Friday morning. I was responded to by 2 of the board members. That email was in regards to junior high girls basketball specifically, and a lot of the issues we're having. Not sure if all of you have been to games, but there seems to be confusion on A, B, and C team and who can play what. And I know there's a quote unwritten rule that 6th graders can't play A team. But the issue we're running into is A team starters are coming down and playing B team, while B team girls are sitting on the bench and not getting the playing time in the program. That I know is an issue for the board for letting them play. They were worried about establishing players and having more play time, but that doesn't seem to be accomplishing that goal if you're bringing A team players down to B team. And if A team starters are coming down to B team, should they not be B team players? And if that's the case, why are we putting a ceiling on 6th graders, not allowing them to advance and play on their athletic level if that's where they're at in comparison to their peers? I know that there was an unwritten rule about that, but I think we need clarification because every game parents are driving, hoping to see their kids play when they're not. An hour and a half was driven tonight for 5 B team girls to not play, where several A team girls did play in the B team game. So we're benching B team, but not allowing those B team girls that could potentially play A ball, play A ball. So that's one of the issues. It's given the kids an attitude of, if I eat clean, if I do more cardio, put in more gym time, it doesn't matter, I'm capped at playing just on B or C team. And it's given the older kids almost a sense of, well, I deserve to be here. This is my spot. No one's gonna be competitive and take it from me because sixth grade can't play baseball. So with that, I'm hoping you guys can think a little more on the policy, because as far as I'm concerned, there's no policy in place for that. I called several schools around us, Spearville, Pawnee Heights, Western Plains, Hodgman, Dighton, several others. I know another parent reached out to that do allow sixth graders to play, do not cap them based on grade level, it's on ability. I hope that we can go forward and be on the same page and as competitive with them. Another issue I had was if an A team starter is told to go into B team, and it says they are say, I don't want to go in because I will not get to start on A team. It was mentioned, it's okay, I'll break a rule for you. That gives those preteens and teenagers a terrible attitude of entitlement. If we're going to break a rule, which rules are we breaking and following versus letting girls play where and how and for how long and all of that? I think there needs to be a policy in place, whether it's by the coach, school board, or someone to say, these are the rules, these are the guidelines, this is what we're sticking to, and I think we failed to do that.
Well, I see, Erica, that we've got it addressed down here in new business. We will be discussing it later on, and I guarantee we'll come up with a solution that is right and how it should be. And like, it's always been an unwritten rule. How does high school handle it? Isn't there a limit? If you're a starter, you cannot drop down?
Typically, they don't on starters, occasionally it can happen depending on the individual kid and the individual
Right.
situation, but a lot of times you'll have the bottom end of your varsity bench
Right.
play the first 2 quarters of JV.
The only rule is if the person can't be in more than 6 quarters in one evening.
Okay.
So
Well, I think we gotta
that's the
be
only
fair.
Case rule. Govern that.
And just on the sixth grade side, the reason we kind of capped that was because of the maturity level of a sixth grader compared to an eighth grader. We feel that sixth graders is more of instructional, playing with the team, playing it against an opponent is the reason why we came out and said C team. Granted that I don't know, we didn't want to take individual cases, but we felt the maturity level, working with a team, being in the junior high is totally different than bringing them out of the elementary school into a team.
Is that what we did last year?
Yeah.
The year before?
You know,
We had a lot of
last
discussion,
year
even
was
like-
slightly different because we only had 4 or 5 seventh and eighth graders out. So you did have a couple of sixth graders play 18 simply because there just weren't any girls.
3 or 4 years ago,
Before
sixth
that-
graders weren't playing. The only reason they're playing now is due to the numbers. It's not like we do it every year.
And I understand the maturity thing, but a lot of those girls have played travel ball where they've gone up against
I get it.
that are much older and bigger.
I get
I
it.
mean, those girls, several of them are 4'5" and play like they're 6 foot tall and have some kind of kindergarten.
But if we had the number, sixth graders wouldn't be playing at all. So we'll discuss it and we'll come up with a fair plan. I know we will. So. Any other comments? Okay, 4.0 executive session for a student,
Let's go 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
You guys, there's cookies and stuff up there if you want some drinks. There's drinks in the
They're
refrigerator.
pretty scared to move since the sheriff's right here. They're pretty good down the law.
Shelby, did you bring in your oath? I was thinking I lost it. We do. Yeah, you should have just came to my office and I told you what to
Well, I
do.
didn't know if you could notarize it.
Yeah,
Okay, so I didn't know. I'm like, Debbie French can do it.
Yeah.
At the hospital. I was like, oh, I even live here. I was cleaning my house and there it was. I'm like, oh, I texted you her number. I didn't have your number, so I texted kids. Or I'm like, what's your number?
do you have it now?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And I saved it.
I have your number in here too, so.
Don't tell the law enforcement. That's what I did. I did my dog there. One's almost 5. He's. I got one that. And pooped everywhere with the toilet, so. Kid. They must be learning from each other. I figure. I would keep James up to 2. Except for the occasional. No. We watched Woody in our house. Used to be Miss Rachel. Then it was Woody. We discovered Woody. And only this week. Woody. Yeah, it's like the Miss Rachel. But she's like Blue's Clues, 'cause they're better. Only there's no dog. Seriously, that's a good one. All the people alive, they're just there. This is very funny. Doesn't have much. Just periodic. It's not one of us, do it, and that's what it is.
Tripling my taxes. And thank you for the signature.
I didn't even say. it. This is how it's done.
I mean, I don't have to, but I have to pay 1%.
Serious? I'll sign it. I'm gonna put my thing so I can be on school board. Got my name dropped off when I came to get old every single day this week, and last week, actually. Here we are. I was working on this, so I was like, bye. Snapchat. Yeah. Did you?
Ultimately affect us for graduation.
Susan, can we amend the agenda? Yeah. I thought I seen it and then I don't think I was looking right. I need to add an executive session to discuss the superintendent evaluation with the board.
We'll add it to-
That needs to be seconded and.
Yeah,
approved.
yeah. Once we get a number here.
And you can also do that under personnel.
You just want to do it during that one.
We can.
You could do it under personnel and then
Okay.
just kick out whoever you don't want
Okay.
in there. And so, yeah.
Okay. Okay, moving on. 5.0 outgoing board member presentations.
We just wanted to take a second to thank both of you for your time. There, of course, are treats behind you. But we want to thank Joby for her newest 4-year stint on the board.
Thank you.
And then we want to thank Jason for 14 years in a row.
Well, it's a long time. I forget, I stopped counting after a while, so.
Come around so we can have a picture.
Speech.
Done enough talking.
All right, there's a couple things you want to block.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, everybody. There's snacks back there, so take a minute, go, everybody can enjoy some snacks. Get you something to drink.
Did you make them?
I did not. I don't know who made them. Who made them, Susan?
Susie made it.
Well, look at you go. Please come and help yourselves, get you something. I'll deliver.
I tried when you guys were in executive session.
They wouldn't bite either, huh?
How the hell you made it? Jason.
Well, the cookie dough tasted good, so I assume the cookies taste good.
Russell, you need reloaded?
No, no.
Where are we at?
Consensus items.
Consensus items.
Okay, if you guys want to, we can go ahead and start going over the consensus items.
Yeah, I got a long list.
A couple things before you start, maybe it'll knock a couple of them off.
Okay.
So
Go ahead.
Susie's in the process of switching over the accounting system, so that's why you don't have a financial report. We did not spend $1,900 on a tambourine top. It was $15, so gotta hit
On
you.
what?
There,
No, obviously not. since I don't know what
you
you're
didn't
talking
look close enough.
about. No, I didn't.
So I noticed that for some reason, this tambourine head came, I'm sorry,
Oh,
just
tambourine.
$1,000. It was only $15 and yeah, so we are still working on the ins and outs of the financial system that we've put in place. Susie and I really like it, but there's some things that we haven't quite figured out how they work correctly.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't answer any of your questions.
No, no, I got a list. Well, anyway, it is correct, you know, that Nathan Copeland is getting paid full because he hadn't been fouling us so much. So that's good. You don't have to deduct from the pay. I had a question on the timing that we got this month, the prom DJ paid. Was that late
That's-
payment?
Deposit.
Deposit for prom.
Deposit for the months ahead,
Mhm.
okay. The abbreviation for CC bill, is that credit card bill?
Credit card bill.
Okay, I had to think hard on that, one, so if it was spelled out, that'd be helpful.
Okay.
I had a question on, most of our roofing's been with Roof Masters, and we had a Diamond Roofing.
Roof Masters bought Diamond. So Diamond operates underneath Roof Masters.
Okay.
So they
that-
sent their
that is
Diamond
Roof
roof up.
Masters.
Yep, that is Roof Masters.
That answered my question. Then for the Need to be reminded, I guess, what Southwestern Kansas Cooperative does for us for 72,000.
That,
Special ed.
that's our special ed group. That's our,
Oh,
Funds that
well, it
we-
was listed, special ed was listed on another thing there.
now, I think there's flow through money and then there
Flow
our,
through money and then,
our local contribution.
okay,
That is the not 92% that the state's supposed to fund. That's coming out of our local money instead.
okay. I saw different listings there, so I wasn't sure if that was something else or not. Other question with the turnout changeover thing too, are we gonna get reports where they're all dollar and cent reporting all the same? Okay, that's troublesome, sitting there trying to hunt through stuff.
Yes.
And now I just want a reminder what the Hope Rising thing was.
That's the character ed.
Character ed,
Yeah.
okay.
And I think Lori's still working with Tanya and checking things off and
She sends me stuff and I look through it as I have time and I try and keep up with them.
And my other question was the Iron Insurance, is that a new insurance group we're with? Or
now Iron changed its name.
Tell her to uphold you soon.
Yeah.
another name change?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Diamond Roof Masters?
Mm-hmm.
Iron and.
Yep.
it's- I'm too old to keep up on that kind of stuff. They need to stop it.
I'm just amazed. You
I'm
got
just glad
questions I
they're-
can
I'm
answer.
just glad
tonight.
they're not all abbreviations. Yeah, that'd be even worse.
What does it mean on a buy down premium?
So it shouldn't have necessarily said that. That was our premium for our property casualty insurance. The buy down, we spend just over $5,000 a year. So our premium through EMC is $50,000. We went ahead and bought a $25,000 buy down policy that was for $5,000, so that when we, like the elementary roof,
Mhm.
we ended up, instead of paying $50,000 in not premium, deductible, we only had to pay $25,000 in deductible. So that last year, I think it was just over $4,000 for that $25,000
So you have
buy
a,
down.
you have a deductible and you choose to
We
pay
did.
a little more premium to get your deductible lower? That's how you
Yeah,
follow that?
basically, we're buying insurance for
Oh.
our deductible. So we're spending, we spent last year on that roof, you know, we had our premium that we paid. It would have had a $50,000 deductible. We went ahead and spent just over $4,000 last year for a $25,000 buy down. So essentially, our $4,000 expense last year netted $21,000 in revenue.
So that's something you do every year, or is that something you
This
try
is,
to?
this is just the second
evaluate?
year we've done that because the EMC has forced us to do a $50,000 deductible.
Okay.
I believe when I started here, the deductible was 10,000. And in the last 10 years, that deductible has gone from 10,000 to $50,000. Part of that is they keep our premium low. Part of that was they didn't give us a choice. Like you even say, you don't have a choice. This is what your deductible is going to be.
So if a bond would pass and we would update things, we would probably not elect to do the buy down, or would they allow
Well, yeah.
our premium to drop on us?
Well, the way insurance is right now, it's hard to tell, but I would think that updating and repairing some of the things we have should lower our premium because it should last longer, right?
Yeah.
I don't know though, the way insurance companies are going. One of the concerns I have with our insurance company EMC right now is they've pretty much dumped the whole entire state of Oklahoma for schools. In the state of Kansas, there's two groups that insure schools. It's EMC, which is 85% of the school districts in the state of Kansas. And then the Kermit pool, which is a pool of schools that have gone together and created their own insurance. We've worked with the Kermit pool before. Their premium has always come back higher than EMC, so it didn't make sense to move over. And I know that there have been a handful of school districts that have had to fight pretty hard to get money out of there when they've had hailstorms or windstorms or whatever. So it scares me a little bit in that sense of what may be coming down the line here in a couple of years. As listening or looking at the superintendent's listserv, we got hit pretty hard, but we didn't get hit nearly as hard as some school districts on the property casualty insurance agency.
Make a motion to approve the consensus items as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor? All right. Russell, anything on special education?
No, sir.
Tom, anything on governmental relations?
I don't.
Okay. We'll go to 7.21, Mr. Flax.
Few things here, we're obviously within now 2 weeks of the end of the term, end of the semester. It is a busy time. We got our conference in last week. Basketball seasons, most junior and high school obviously have gotten underway, and they are full steam ahead. In addition to winding down the semester classes and the courses that most of our courses are year-long courses, obviously first semester, second semester, but we do have a handful of that are semester classes, and so there are some class changes that take place here, and so I leave it up to the individual instructor whether or not they give a true final assessment or final exam, but obviously that's coming on here. In addition to those, what's happening in the classroom, we have also a lot of our local assessments that we're working on right now. Our Fast Bridge for our reading and math, that's our local assessment. Obviously some of the charts there we're working on. Our 8th, 10th, and 12th graders here over this next week and a half. Actually, I think one grade's already done with that. They're going to be doing that KCTC, the Kansas Communities that Care Survey. It goes to even numbered classes, 6th grade in elementary, 8th, 10th, and 12th. We give it every year. This time of year, obviously it's every other year for the students. A survey. We do have 2 or 3 kids whose parents opted out at enrollment. There's a form they can opt out of that survey. We do have a few of those, but most of our kids will be taking that. And then also going on here, another assessment that you guys may not even realize that we do a whole lot about it. We call it the Savers assessment. It is actually a teacher rating of the students. In my building, because our students see multiple teachers, obviously, throughout the day, up to eight different teachers potentially throughout the day. We kind of get in groups, and it's a rating system. It's a behavior rating screener. That's what the BRS of the SABRE stands for. And 3 areas. It's look at social behaviors, kind of a rating system on social behaviors, academic behaviors, and then emotional behaviors. And we do that in small groups, and that's basically just data that we keep in-house. It doesn't ever really, it's completely confidential, but it's information that our teachers keep, and then they can obviously compare to years past, look at growth of kids on their social behaviors. Are they growing? Obviously, everybody thinks of school, so we all think academic behaviors because that's a primary thing, but also their emotional behaviors and stuff. And so we will be administering that screener, that SABRE screener going on. And then, like I say, we got a slew, with the exception of tonight, the junior high that's on the road. We got a slew of home basketball games. Our high school, we got 3 home games here before Christmas break. Our junior high will have Thursday and Monday also.
I don't think they played Monday. I think just Thursday.
Or just Thursday. Monday is our NHS induction, we will induct our new class in the National Honor Society on Monday. I knew there was something on that Monday. So we have something in the blood drive this Wednesday. I know there's something every day of the week until we kind of lose for Christmas break. So just quick update from the high school, junior, senior high school. So, and then, like I said, we're doing a lot of data. I'll say that because I know, and I might tell you this, in our January service with teachers, we're going to spend a lot of that time on doing some data diving. And, what type of decision making we need to make for each individual student. So,
Any questions? If not, Mr. Reinhardt.
I believe back in October, I shared with you that we received recognition through the Kansas Can Star program through the State Department in the 4 quantitative measures of graduation rate, post-secondary success, academically prepared for post-secondary, and then we also received the Commissioner's Award. USD 303 in that sense, only 70 of the 376 systems in the state of Kansas that go through that process receive the 4 quantitative measures, receive that recognition in the 4 quantitative measures. That puts USD 303 in a group of less than 19% of statewide systems for achievement in those areas. Did that make sense? So we received recognition in 4 areas. In the state of Kansas, only 70 other systems out of 376 received recognition in those 4 areas as an entirety, which puts the work our staff has done in a group of less than 20% of all the school systems in the state of Kansas that achieved that. So our staff needs a pat on the back and some recognition for the work they've done to move the district in that direction. Temp roof repairs on the elementary school are complete. DNS will drop the radio tower over break. They're going to do that for $1,300. Working with JNS on electrical, we kind of talked about that, where when they put in the window air conditioners in the elementary school, they ran the electrical and attached it into the roof versus up above into the block. That's going to cost $4,700 unless you tell me not to do it. It needs to be done. We'll have McGranahan and his crew up there getting that electrical work done before they put the new roof on, which should be sometime after the first of the year. Staff and community is doing some fundraising for Emily Smith and her family. Staff is going to do a 50-50 raffle at our 2 home games this week to try to put some dollars together for everything that they're experience to help offset some of those costs. And then have worked with the Cups and their Kinsey's Cares organization or foundation. They had put together a t-shirt type of situation, and they've decided this first sale of their t-shirts, the first sale period of their t-shirts, all the proceeds will go to Emily Smith and her family. So we're working on that. We are short 2 custodians. So if you know of anybody that wants to be a custodian, please let me know. I'm working on one of Dan's friends to see if we can't get him to come work for us, but please pat your custodians on the back if you see them. They are busting their butt to get everything done and keep things going. Also, thank you to the elementary staff for helping pick up some of the slack since we're shorthanded at the elementary school in that area. While we did repair the boiler at the elementary school, we are experiencing a little bit of issue with the heat there. Of course, doing all that work knocked loose a whole bunch of different pieces, parts within the plumbing itself. We've had to take pieces out and clean them out and to keep things going. And we've discovered that we've got a leak somewhere. It's not in the boiler, it's in the plumbing. So we're working to figure that out. We're losing about 50 gallons of water a day. So hopefully we can figure that out relatively soon and get that working. I know that there are a couple of classrooms in the old part of the elementary school that do not have heat, including the office. So we're trying to get that fixed and moving forward. Outside of that, I'd ask you all, including you two, to wear an Eagle shirt next month so we can take a new and updated board picture for the yearbook, the webpage, and the information we send out to people. And if you don't have an Eagle shirt, hopefully Susie can find you one.
Any questions for Mr. Reinhardt? Okay, 7.31, board subcommittee. Anything to report?
No, we didn't have a meeting.
I think we talked about doing one after the first semester, so if you want to reach out.
Let's
to
see if I can set
staff
something
and
up in
see.
January sometime.
And then I guess if we do meet in January, then we need to decide if it's gonna be Jason and I moving forward, or if we want a third one. Because Joby's been the one that's been doing it. Or if, I mean, I'm happy to pass it and let somebody else spend some time visiting with them too, but if there's other people that want to, I don't care. I won't keep doing it, but if there's anybody else that wants to take a turn. I can do it with you and Jason, and then whether there's three in the con, did you want to jump in?
Probably not the best job for me,
Do you have too much to say?
possibly.
Russell?
No.
There we go.
You inherited it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Judy.
Okay, we'll move on to 8.0, unfinished business. 8.1, facilities improvement and the bond issue discussion.
So we had our two town hall meetings, I think relatively well attended. I think probably right around 50 community members attended the meetings, and a good portion of them did the tours. I think feedback was relatively positive. I think for the most part, everybody understands that there are some issues that need to be addressed. Like I mentioned, I know we've got some community members that want a nice fancy gym like Spearville or Kiowa County. And we've got some community members that don't feel they can afford anything at all and don't want to do anything, even if they do recognize that there are some issues that need to be addressed. We did do the survey. I will tell you, the high school is a little skewed, and the outdoor athletic facilities are a little skewed on the thing, because I messed it up. So the first handful of people that took the survey could only answer one area on those two spots, so they look a little skewed. But we only had 17 respond out of all of those that are out there. I'm reluctant to put this out on social media, because then you can get responses from people that are not voters, don't have a stake in it. And so we might, if you want some more information as far as the feel of the overall community, we can send out another letter with access to the survey for people to fill out, or we can kind of go off of this. But like you can see there, of the people that responded, 92% were in favor of the work that needs to be done in this building. When you looked at the elementary building, with the exception of intercom and hallway, relatively positive response. So those things need to be addressed, whether it's the windows, the doors, the plumbing, the HVAC, the fire system, secure entrances, electrical upgrades, the acoustics in the gym, and the sidewalk repair. Preschool was pretty similar. Saw some positive responses there. The playground, I would say this is probably one area, coupled with the outdoor athletic facilities, where there wasn't a whole lot of interest in the tennis court repair, the lighting on the court. I did tell those in attendance that that's not something we use as a school, so it's real hard for us to allocate funds to do those types of things. Yes, Patrick uses the tennis court for a couple weeks a year, but we don't do it at night. And what's out there works well for PE. But we do have community members that use some of that. Overall, supportive of most of those projects. And like I said, I don't think this is a truly fair representation on the high school, because I know the first handful of people that took the survey could only answer in one area. But even then, you had some relatively good support there. And the same with the track and football, softball field. Most sport was in that finishing what we were doing on the track with the next layer of leveling layer and structural spray on it, so it lasts and continues to be a good surface. But again, on this question, the first handful I didn't catch until I think it was actually Joel texted me and said, hey, I can only answer one. So I had to go in and fix it, but several people had already answered. As far as comments, lights along the sidewalks, the elementary school and high school, a couple comments about a weight room, locker rooms and handicap bleachers, which we spent quite a bit of time talking about in the meetings. And then had someone comment they can only comment or answer one on the football field stuff. I only had two that put in information that they'd be willing to be part of a committee to be a part and get it going. And then a lot of comments about not if, but when and how big. And I think a lot of that is where a lot of the community members that were in the meetings were at. What's the actual dollar amount? And then we can make some decisions from there. One of the questions, the cameras and mag locks on the existing doors. One of the reasons the mag locks don't work, they were actually in place and they got removed because especially the main entrance is at the high school where we had mag locks. For those to be legal, you've got to have a sensor so that when you go to exit the building, that door doesn't stay magnetically shut. You can't get out in the event of emergency. So one of two things happens. You either adjust that sensor so it's out in the hallway, so every time someone walks down the hallway, the door unlocks, or you get it back down to where it doesn't unlock until you're at the door. And at that particular point in time, you literally take a piece of paper, shove it through the gap between the two doors and unlock the door. So it picks up any motion at all. So that's kind of where mag locks won't work on a lot of our current existing doors. Gives you an answer there. We did talk about different things with FEMA grant as a possible way to help pay for a portion of locker rooms as a tornado safe space or storm shelter. I did spend some time listening to a webinar that Train put on this afternoon. Big school district in Missouri got a lot of the inflation reduction money to put in HVAC. A lot of it's geothermal. It will pay up to $5 a square foot over the entire square footage of your buildings in grant money, as long as the HVAC upgrade that you're doing meets the guidelines for that grant. For the elementary school, that's around $250,000. And it sounds like they're trying to give that money away as fast as they can. As long as you have a project that truly meets what they're trying to achieve with that, then it's a good and easy way to get some funds. The problem is you've got to have the rest of those funds to offset that. And you may be looking at a $500,000 to $1 million project, and you're getting $250,000, $300,000 worth of grant money to pay for it. So it's still definitely, even though that money's there, would require some bond issue or lease purchase or something along those lines to update HVAC to kind of give you some ideas there. As far as next steps, if we're ready to move forward, my belief is we're a lot better off doing a CMAR, which is a construction manager at risk versus an architect. since the vast majority of what we're talking about isn't new construction, I think that helps lower some of our costs. The construction manager would bring in the engineer or the architect at a reduced cost because they're just going to be dealing with, if we do, your only real new construction would be locker rooms and then your secure entrances. So they would bring architects in just for those pieces versus an architect doing all the work for all of it. And you're talking about a big enough project, I think you're going to want a construction manager anyway to help oversee and make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing, making sure we're getting the best prices, making sure we're getting competitive bids for more than one person. So my advice, if you're ready to move forward and actually get some true dollars on what things are going to cost, there's an RFQ for you to approve for CMAR. My suggestion at that particular point in time is we send that out, we collect that information. I believe the letter says you have to have your information in by January 5th, which is more than enough time for these because they have this documentation that we're asking for on hand. They've got their flyers and everything. We turn it in. I would suggest you appoint a committee that can be board members. You could include Wes if you want to try to bring in a couple community members to be a part of that, to go through what those applications basically for that CMAR.
So
Part of
that board is just to hire a CMAR?
So that subcommittee would then basically narrow it down and bring the entire board, this is our recommendation. And then the board would elect to hire that CMAR. That way it's not, it doesn't eat up a board meeting, because it'll be a process. Typically what you do is, depending on how many you get, you narrow it down to 3 or 4, and then you have those companies come in and you physically interview them, have them in person. And then, like I said, that subcommittee would then present to the board, this would be our recommendation. Then they could answer questions on the 2 or 3 top, if anybody had further questions. And I would recommend that you set a special meeting to do that. So again, that we're not eating up a lot of time during a regular board meeting to start that process. And I would say that's another thing to take consideration as you move through this. A lot of your conversations on a project like this probably need to be set as special meetings. But those are kind of the next steps. The other thing is I shared another piece of paper with you. Train does offer air quality assessments that have been brought up by you guys at one point in time. I think Tom had asked if one had ever been done here a couple months ago. To my knowledge, an air quality assessment on any of the buildings has not truly been done, to my knowledge. Train will do that for free. They'll come in and put in the equipment, the sensors and stuff, and then they will present what they find to you. There's no cost to that. If you want to go further than that, then they will start putting together some information at a cost as far as next steps to do. From there, I don't know that you're necessarily at that point, but if you want some true data on your air quality and the effectiveness of your HVAC systems and those type of things, that Train air quality assessment for free is some good information to move forward with. But I think at this particular point in time, if we're wanting to move forward with a big project, your next step is finding a CMAR and hiring them. And maybe sometime in February, we have a starting price for the projects we want to focus on.
What does Train require in return for a free visit out here to check the quality?
Nothing.
Okay.
As long as you stick with what's in that first preliminary assessment, they will not charge you a dime. What they're trying to do is get your business. They want to come in and give you information and maybe give you a little bit of a dog and pony show to try to convince you to do business with them versus someone else.
So Train is a private company?
Yeah, so it would be it's a very, very large HVAC company in, not just Kansas, but across the nation. They would be a direct competitor of P1, who we do a lot of our work with. Like I said, they've reached out to me. They're the ones that have sent me a bunch of different information on grants and those type of things. Their salesman is trying to get business is what they're doing. Well, like I said, this is, if you want a true assessment of the air quality in your buildings, this would be a free way to get it.
How long does it take them to do that assessment?
I think just a week or so. I mean, they'll set the sensors up, run them for a little while, collect the data, and then.
Can we
come
do it while
present.
we're in school, or they gotta be
Yeah.
out of school? Okay.
Do they check like mold and that kind of stuff, or is that?
They should be able to, I think that assessment will pick up any contaminants in the air.
Are they looking for Ray, Dawn?
I think it will, I think it picks up everything.
Okay, so if it picks up all right on it, then,
That would be a downfall.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
It would put you in a different position, a definite position where you gotta do something.
Because it's everywhere.
Well, I don't know, with the train deal, I think if it's free of cost, I think it'd be a good benchmark of seeing where it's actually at. You know. I'm sure once they do the readings, they'll have all kinds of recommendations.
Oh, yeah. All sorts of ways to spend your money.
At least kind of puts a baseline onto something and.
Mhm.
Okay, so we need to approve the request for the qualification for the CMAR. Correct?
Yes.
Because we kind of covered 8.11 through, well, we talked about 8.14, the special meeting, so,
Say all of those would be individual motions.
yeah. So we can just start with 8.11, approve the request for the qualifications for the CMAR. Can I have a motion?
So move.
Okay, and that's why this is hiring a CMAR more or less to do this instead of an architect to do this. So this is just to put out the information so they can respond back and you select from there.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? And then do we need to appoint a committee tonight or just after?
My recommendation would be the RFQ asks for things be turned in by January 5th. Then states by the 19th, we will send out notification of who we hired. So if you appoint a committee tonight, that gives us some time to find dates that work for that group to meet, to do those and do the interviews and those type of things. If you wait until January to appoint that, then we need to change the
Right.
RFQ.
I'm just thinking
It
if-
pushes things down the road. is
If
the problem.
we can appoint, but I think that earlier you said if we got a couple of community members on there, that'd be something. I think if we can, one or two from the board if need be, and then in the following week, fill the rest or however many seats you feel like we need.
And I don't think you want maybe 5 or 6 people on there. You get too many on there and you may not be able to come to a consensus on things. So if you got 2 board members, Wes, myself, if you include Tom on that, maybe bring in 1 community member. And I don't know if Neil Fawnin still would be willing to do that. He is one that's signed up to be on the committee.
Is there someone else that signed up to be on it?
Jan Ryder.
Jan Ryder.
Well, I would think if they volunteered to sign up, that they should both be asked.
I agree.
No problem with
I
that.
mean, that's why we had those meetings, so.
Sure.
So I think if we do 2 board members, 2 community members, and Wes, that's 5. I really don't think you need to be on the board. I think you can just kind of be the overseer and the listener.
Right, like get all the information together.
And Tom too.
Right. But that could be if Jan and Neil both want to do it, and 2 or 3 board members could be your committee. Tom and I provide the information and insight.
Was that Tom Fresher?
Tom Flax.
No, I know, but I thought you said I would love to do that.
I didn't though.
Oh. My hearing's as Tom as bad as the other Tom.
Yes, exactly.
Do we have anybody that's willing to be on this board? You're gonna say it.
Two new ones
You
would
can
be
be
on
up there
it.
too.
The 2 new members.
Like I said, this is just to hire the CMAR, just more or less to screen.
Yep.
And that's it. Once we hire, them are hired, it's done. That aspect of it anyway. Russell, you want to be on this board? Pay rate
It's a
is
short,
awesome.
it's a short board, yes. Not gonna last very long. so
No.
yes.
Okay, we got Russell,
Tom,
I'll try it.
and look at you go.
Yeah,
It took Russell to get him over the edge.
I've got to keep watch on Russell.
That's right.
Okay, we did that. Okay, how about
Can I
8
have a motion? on
Oh, do we
that?
have a, okay, we're gonna, Tom and Russell have volunteered to be on this board, and the other 2 community members and Wes will be voluntarily told to be on it. So can we get a motion?
so moved.
Second,
All in favor? Okay, 8.13, the air quality assessment from Terrain.
I move that we have them come do the pre-assessment.
Second.
All in favor? And we really don't need to discuss 8.14 because that'll come later, but I think is that just kind of,
It would be after our January meeting.
Yeah.
So, because I'm kind of thinking probably somewhere like January 25th, so we could set that meeting next month.
okay, moving on to 8.2, approved community daycare letter of support.
So I took input from you guys. The group is still working on putting something together. The letter basically focuses on property and just, we agree we need daycare in the community. Type of mindset.
Have we got any letter from the county or the city yet?
City has provided a letter. I'll let
I
Joe
met
talk
with-
about the county.
I met with the commissioners this morning at 11, and I asked for work in kind from the county shop guys for moving dirt, moving curb and gutter, that type of thing. They seem to acknowledge the fact that they would have the means to do that, but they wanted to talk with Ron Johnson, who was the supervisor out there. But at least 2 of the 3 said that they were on board with that. Travis Petersilly said that unless we do something as a school board, he's not on board with it. Again, I told him that, well, that would be decided as of tonight. If we go ahead and approve it to have the facility, that the school would donate the land for the facility, I will call the county clerk, Lori Hurdle, tomorrow morning to let her know what our decision was. Then she will let the 3 of them know.
Almost every person I talk to, mothers, 75 kids in a day care, they said absolutely they would not take your kids to do something like that. They just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, and I understand that. we've had multiple conversations as a group about how big this needs to be. And we've kind of gone back and forth a little bit. So part of our concern is, I've been in the community 10 years. During that 10 years, of the 5 currently registered and licensed daycare providers, only one of them has been operational that entire 10 years. A couple of them are newer than 10 years old. A couple of them were daycare providers, left that profession, and then are now back. So one of the concerns and one of the understandings that the group has is we recognize right now, especially if you take the number that the hospital currently has and their need, coupled with the overall need of the community, we need slots for somewhere between 40 to 50 kids. If you look at the summertime, when there's a bigger need for daycare, there could be a need for more space in a center. If you look at historical longevity of the community, there are times when daycare provider decides they're not going to do that anymore, and they drop out. So you have a bump in time. So one of the things that the foundation has discussed is the fact that if we do this, we want to make sure we have a facility that meets the needs at different times during the life of our community. With the understanding that more than likely you're looking at a facility that on a normal basis will probably be between 40 and 50 kids. But we also don't want to sell it short. And that's the concern, is if we do a project this big and then it doesn't meet the needs of the community, then we failed in that sense. So that's kind of where that comes from. And I agree 100%. As a parent, I would have some concerns of sending my kid to a facility of that size. But at the same time, if I don't have anywhere else to send them, especially for a short amount of time, I need some place for them to go so that I can go to work too. I think it's also important for people to understand how those daycare centers are set up. So physical space wise, you have to build it in a manner where there's essentially only 10 to 12 kids in a room. And so what these facilities end up looking like to get licensed is very much like an elementary school, where you've got multiple classrooms with a bathroom inside that room. So it will look like a whole bunch of our kindergarten classrooms right next to each other. So essentially, as a parent, you're sending your kid to that one space. That is depending on the age of the kid, can be supervised with between 1 and 3 adults. So even though it's a large facility, you're really sending your kid to a smaller space. But I understand. I would have concerns as a parent too.
So would
if
this
I was-
space have its own kitchen? No, its own kitchen?
Yeah, so we would work that in. We've had conversations about how to make that work, whether it is a self-sufficient kitchen and they do their own cooking for meals, or if it's located on school property and close enough, is that a way for us to offset some of our excess costs in food service by making more meals? Because if we make the same meal for more people, it's cheaper for us to make that meal. So that could be a situation where we could have that conversation.
But it
And
would
that's,
require additional staff. And
yes
we've
and no,
struggled
it
to
kind of,
keep
it
kitchen
could.
Staff ourselves.
It could. And like I said, I just 100% honesty is when we first started this conversation, it was there's a kitchen, and the way everything we designed is there's a kitchen in the facility to do that. Because then you've also got summertime, you've got different times of year where our kitchen isn't operable. And the same thing with the hospital kitchen. There's been discussion that the hospital could provide food to the facility too. And again, just 100% transparency. Those are conversations that have taken place as far as how to provide meals to the facility. But any facility we would build would have a kitchen of its own, with the idea that ultimately they would serve their own food.
What does multi-use educational facility?
So this particular grant that we're working on can't just be a standalone daycare center. It also has to offer broadband access to the community. It has to offer job training activities to expand job opportunities and ability for your community to grow within the workforce, and has to offer access to healthcare. As far as licensing, those have to be two separate facilities. So if you build it all under one roof, you would have a portion of the building that is daycare that is not accessible from the other part of the building. I don't know. I've sent out a question about whether or not it's the way the grant is written. It's hard to kind of understand whether or not it has to be in that setting, or if you could build two completely separate facilities. But the grant itself has to encompass all of those things. That's why it's a big grant. That's why you're looking at, what the gal told us the other day is more than likely they will not consider any projects that are under $1.2 million.
Yeah.
Because
they're
they're
really-
looking for you
They're
to,
really not considering anything that we already have in this city. They want something new. They want to give the grant to
So-
build something new.
So you have, I'm just asking, because I'm not sure I understand. So we have a building on the school property that's partly daycare, partly healthcare, which does that mean the county health moves in?
Well-
Or just a little office that they can come and use and give people shots, whatever. And then there's another room for classes
It's gonna compete with the public library
that's gonna,
that already offers all those things.
well, and it very well could. And that's the underlying grant. And what I don't know is if, and I sent a question out this afternoon to the gal. I don't know if it's a situation where the grant can be broken up in the sense that you build a daycare facility and then we could take grant money and apply it to some of the projects you talked to Rotary about at the library to upgrade the library to make it meet the needs that you're seeing you need. That is a question that we have sent out there to see as we put the grant together and see if it's something we can bring into the community.
So who is actually in charge of everything?
In charge of this
The,
process,
No, of the daycare, the health deal, the job training? Who's in charge?
well, the foundation itself is writing the grant or is working on the grant. So you'd have that governing board, and that is the Community Development Foundation. Right? Our conversations within this, as far as the daycare, is the hospital would transition their current daycare into this facility, and their personnel would take over the running of the daycare center. The other side we're hoping we get a grant that is an accelerated grant for the foundation that would allow us to hire a full-time person that would basically be a grant writer for the county, project organizer and those type of things to bring more funds and opportunity into the community. And they would ultimately run the other side. It has nothing to do with you guys. It has nothing to do with the school. I happen to be on the foundation because I helped create the foundation 8 years ago.
Because it appears to me that it could easily be the day-to-day expenses could fall back on the school.
I don't think so.
It's not set up that way.
So what happens if they can't meet their expenses? Something bad's gonna happen.
Well, it'll come down to that foundation board figuring it out. I say it,
So at some point, are you gonna try and levy taxes for this facility?
I don't know. We've asked the city about possibility of some help for funding. We've asked the county commissioners for the possibility of help for that. there could be, depending on how things go, there could be a possibility of that. Now, the foundation would have no authority to levy taxes.
Well, I guess I'm perplexed as to why we need to levy taxes twice for healthcare. We already have a health department. Why we need to levy taxes twice for a library? We already have a public library. Why do we need a employment center whenever all those things are done at the library already? I
So,
mean, it's doubling up on, it's not, I mean, it's, I guess I don't understand why you didn't point that stuff out to us last month.
well,
Because we just had a video conference with the gal from KDHE who brought out, just like we were thinking of maybe purchasing or buying the dance facility, School of Dance. And she come back and said that that's not big enough. There's no way that would fly. It would, I mean, don't even ask, because it's not big enough. And we've learned that after our last board meeting, some of the things that Darren is talking about. One of the things with the internet is she's saying that if you have it with the internet there, that the kids that are in school that do not have internet capabilities at their home could come in here and use that facility for their
Like they
internet.
can go to the public library for it.
I
Like they can
understand that,
check
but
out
I'm just telling you what
Oh,
she
no, I
said.
know, I know.
Public library.
And she's saying that, as a daycare facility, it would be open. The hours would be, whoever is running it they would be setting those hours. So that those hours, I mean, I don't know what time it starts, 6 o'clock in the morning till, I don't know, I don't know. But that is one of the things that she said, is that to make it a multi-purpose building. If you have area mental health that comes in, trying to think of some of the things that she said.
telehealth, the healthcare side of the conversation that we've had
I'm
is,
familiar with the area mental health. They come to the library. They meet with people at the public library.
Okay,
and that's bring more access to all those telehealth, those type of things. And again, it's not a conversation of competing with the library. What I'm very hopeful for is the answer, the response I get back is it would be a very, very real possibility to write the grant in a manner to build a daycare center, because that was our ultimate goal, daycare center. And as we got more information on the grant, that's why there's now more information, is we thought daycare center, but then we're told you won't get the grant. That's the only way you write it. It's too competitive of a grant to just write it to build a daycare center. It's got to be multi-use facility. It's got to include those type of, all those things I said, broadband, healthcare, job corps training, and then daycare. It's got to provide all of those things. And like I said, what would be great is if we could take that and write it in a manner that would affect what we already have to make it better and improve. And some of the, like I said, some of the things that you shared with us were about the public library, and build a separate facility for daycare. And so we're just trying to work through all this to solve a problem in the community.
And when is the grant application due?
Monday.
That's a question.
Mhm.
I know I'm just saying, can you use like your speech and your OT and your like Danielle, can they use that building where it's through the school? And
Yes.
Still your
Yeah.
stuff and not get additional?
yes,
So, and
When they
that's
were in the library?
absolutely, and that's one of the conversations we had about it was, it could be a space where you move some of your OTPT speech services, whether it's during the school day or if the facility is right there on school property, it'd be easy to utilize some of that space for that as a school. But then you also have a space to offer some of those services outside of the school day for the community. The healthcare side, one of the things Aaron talked about is having space for telehealth. And having a space someone can go to get more access to telehealth type of systems.
And what is the matching amount?
15%. So 15%, to be competitive, what they're telling us is you need to have commitment of 15% in some manner from your community
That's
to match that.
50% of 1.2 million.
So essentially what that would mean, if the school district's willing to say, if the or if the grant passes, this property can be used to build a facility, that property is worth $25,000. So that would count towards your 15%. So looking at options like that. Like the letter we got from the city, they would provide in-kind labor and materials to provide access to sewer and water and put those things in place up to the building.
And what I asked from the commissioners was if we had to have dirt work done or dug or fittings and for them to supply manpower and the trucks to do that. That's what was asked of them.
Is the city gonna give us free water for it?
No, they won't give free water for anything. We've had that conversation way too many times.
So an approval of this letter, it means tonight that we approve giving ground for this period? Or does it come back around to the board and then do we decide?
You're
to
not,
give?
yeah, you're not signing a contract. This is just a letter of support saying that if needed,
That we might do that?
property would be available. You are making, a commitment to make property available. There's no contract within that. And from the superintendent side, I would tell you, any contract we put in place would be more of a lease type of situation where we are going to lease this property for you to build that facility, and the improvements on the facility, on that property can be returned to the school district if at any time it is no longer used as a daycare center, or I would go as far as to say it is no longer overseen by the foundation as a daycare center. And that helps protects us, and it gives us a little bit of say as far as, you need to take better care of things and what have you, and what have you. But that's down the road. I mean, at that particular point, there is no guarantee that grant's there. There's no guarantee that we're going to win that grant. Again, this group of people in this foundation are trying to solve a problem. This is one way to do that. This is a big money way to get the vast majority of a daycare center paid for.
Can you add CDL truck driving school on that too?
Absolutely. And I think that would be part of what gets offered through that process is those type of jobs that we need here in town.
Well, I would make a motion to approve the community support for the grant for a daycare center.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to support the letter for the community daycare and everything else. All in favor? All opposed? Did you get that, Susie? Moving on to 9.1, approve ASDAC agreement.
This is basically the bylaws and everything for SDAC as members, especially through our health insurance and everything that we abide by.
So is there anything changed or is it just
I don't think-
re-upping what we've done
Just
before?
re-upping what you've done before.
So moved.
Motion and second, all in favor? All opposed? 9.2, the junior high basketball policies, rules, handout was given to each one of us. So do we want to put some guidelines or, typically coaches typically handle this decently. I don't.
The head coach is always right. In my opinion. whatever the head coach says to his assistant coach. That's the final say, and that's not happening there,
Okay.
in my opinion.
I was always, when I was brought up, A team played strictly A team. The top 8 people, they didn't play B team, they didn't play C team, they played strictly A team. C team, you had some B, bounce from B to C. On the A team, if you're like number 9 and 10, you could play a little bit of B, but there was no A team ever played on B. I will assure you that.
What are the numbers that we have?
I'm sure the concerns that you guys are addressing more are on the girls' side than they are on the boys' side. I believe there are 22 names on our roster currently. Out of those 22, 10 of them are 6th graders, 3 8th graders, the remainder of 7th graders. I tell you what, this is obviously been I've seen it in so many areas. I consider myself a basketball guru. For a lot of years for it, assume this role. I'll be blunt and honest. I know we're online. You know, those 22 girls. Talking 19 of them were 6th grade and 7th grade. Maybe 18 of them are B team caliber players.
I would agree with that.
There's
Tom,
really,
let them quit the
I
games.
mean, you're looking at your 3 8th graders and really 1 7th grader that probably is mature enough body wise, maybe 2 7th graders that are mature enough body wise. That you truly divided this group up and tried to say, okay, who's our top 8 to be that A team? Who's that next group? That's going to be the B team. If there was no limitations, and like I said, when I went to the coaches, I went to both boys and the girls junior high coaches there after our last board meeting, and I realized it wasn't necessarily in your motion when you approved 6th grade participation or 2 board games, wherever to go. But I made it clear. I said I sure interpreted it that way, and if I didn't want to interpret your, because I don't think it probably wasn't in your motion. It's kind of been that unwritten about like what Erica brought up, and she brought up good points. I see a lot of different sides, but if you truly say, okay, this is my top 8, this is my rotation for 18, there could be a 6th grader, 2 or 3 in that group ahead of some 7th graders. So she brings up good points. I'm not at practice every day. I can't say that for a fact, but I wouldn't surprise me. Especially when you're looking at position wise. You know, guards considered, you know, comparing to forward centers, or, you know, however you want to say the position of the players on that. You know, we haven't had the opportunity, and we're not going to have a bunch of opportunities with our schools in our league that have C quarters for girls. Like tonight, there were 2 C quarters for the boys. They got 18 on the roster. There's 22 on the roster. You know, who of those 7th graders aren't any better caliber than C team players? Probably. I just sideline quarterbacking here from the sideline. You know, you know, limiting 6th graders could put a hamper on coaching on what you got to, you know, we really use her up on 18. But at the same time, I believe there's, you know, there's benefit in holding them back. You know, we did not do this group of 7th graders any favor last year because we had to put an 18 on the floor. what our league bylaws say. And so as sixth graders, we put some kids out there that just got mauled and they weren't mature enough, they weren't, and I know that.
And it restricted the
It-
growth.
It's happened 2 years in a row. I mean, even when the eighth graders were sixth graders and they didn't go out in sixth grade, even though we had sixth grade participation, we only had 7 girls out that were just seventh and eighth graders that year. These 3 that are now playing, well, one of them wasn't even a student year at the time, and the other 2 chose not to play in sixth grade. It goes back, but I don't know. It's tough. It's really tough. I don't know what.
My biggest concern is if you're on the A team and you're especially one of the starting 5,
Yeah,
you should not be playing B team.
I agree with that philosophy.
I mean, the idea is to get them playing time, and if you drop, and I'm just speaking that if you're a starter and you drop you to B team, you're taking somebody else's spot that should be playing.
And I think, and I don't know this, Coach Coles is the one that's covering for me, so I don't know this for a fact, but I believe there was 6 girls that did not suit the B team game. I don't believe there were some girls that didn't get in the B team game because there's still a bunch of them that got that bench, try to get them in, and they combined won the B team game, and so then that probably meant 3 or 4, 5 at the bottom of the end of the bench didn't get in because they.
Mhm.
It's Thursday we got 2 quarters of C girls. Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
Well, maybe would it be such a thing that we take the 6th grade back out of the equation and make it truly junior high?
Next year maybe, but you can't
I
do
don't
that
do
now.
that
know
this year.
now.
We're too far down the road this year to do that. I would think.
Okay.
My comment is
I
we're,
think that is something that needs to be looked at because,
That's an option
yeah.
in my book, because it's turned into a big show out there.
Well, and another thing that I don't know about the rest of you, but I did not realize this, by having the 6th grade participate in junior high basketball, they cannot participate as 6th graders on the rec teams.
No.
So, We have a 5th grade
outside
rec
team.
team and a 6th grade rec team. Well, no, we can't have a 6th grade rec team because they're participating as junior high Eagles.
And I would bring this up. I know I've.
I wish I'd known that.
I do too, Tom, because I never would have voted for it.
Never heard
Me,
that.
that's exactly me, me too.
No,
The worst.
That's the way it's
If
been
you're
for
a
years.
vacation team, if you're not playing an outside during the season. That is
That's
true.
happened for
And
years.
I can tell you, I've heard the rumor, I don't know if there's truth to it or not, but I think there's been some parents that have heard about having their 6th grade child quit, so they can go play rec, or go play
Mhm.
outside basketball. And that would be a choice I guess they could make. I don't know if that'd be a wise choice, or, I don't know, but it's
Well, I'm with Jason Ratliff. If you suit A team, you shouldn't get to play B team. You're just taking somebody else's
and
spot.
I'll say this, I know I'm talking mainly girls, but I'll say this on the boys' side. I'll bring the boys into this because I've had the conversations there where some of the 6th grade boys are more guard oriented. The 7th grade boys are more post oriented. And so obviously I promise you that the junior high boys coaches would like to have an ability, obviously. They'll do whatever the rules are set, expectations. They have not questioned me or not, but I know that they wouldn't mind probably having a 6th grade guard or 2 play up because of there's really no guards in the 7th grade group. The
Well,
difference
in-
between the
in
boys and
talking-
girls is we have like 8 8th graders out on the boys side. 7 or 8. I don't have my roster right in front of me. I mean, so 8th graders are playing 18 for the most part. Sprinkled in with a 6th or 7th grader or 2 here or there, as a sub, but.
And in talking with some of the 8th grade with the boys coaches, on their side, there's concern that if behaviors don't change, they're gonna have to forfeit games because he's not gonna let them play. And he can't pull his sixth graders up because of feeling like, well, you know, there's this conflict with the sixth graders, so what does he do? Because if the boys are misbehaving, he needs to have that authority to say, then you're not playing, right? So he's kind of at that situation where he's wanting to be able to have that ability to pull the sixth
Gives them
graders up.
motivation for the
Right,
older kids.
yes, so that the
Gives the
eighth
younger
grade,
kid pushing the
Yeah.
older kid to.
but on the girls' side, I mean, with 22 girls, you only have 5 playing at a time. And so you have an A team and a B team, so you have 10 girls, but you got 22 sitting on the bench.
Like Thursday night though, I think we had 18 suited up.
Okay.
18.
But still, that's a lot of girls to try to
Oh, I know, it's. no, it
manipulate
is.
in and out, and unless the coach is organized enough to do that, I don't know how. I can see why people are upset on all sides of the equation. I've been to games where I don't get to see my kids play. I sat on the bench as a junior higher in a high school, and I loved it because I got to be part of the team and I was there. But when you don't have that attitude of, I'm still part of the team, I can do my job of cheering. But so I think the part of this is on the coaches, right? Like, there's no communication with parents. There's no, this is my expectations. As junior high basketball, what is our goal? Is our goal to prepare them for high school?
Yes,
So then
absolutely.
do we want the sixth graders starting on the varsity team if we're trying to prepare our seventh and eighth graders to move? I don't know. I need you guys to discuss. Everyone discuss, I'm done.
That's the reason I got my shots in early,
Yeah,
so I don't have to.
You don't have to.
I don't, there's gotta be a happy medium. I think it just needs to be managed by the coach
Exactly.
fairly. I mean,
Yeah, that
I'll throw that word in
fairly
there.
there.
And I get it, when we got enough for C team and a lot of places to go only have a B team. You split it right in half, say, okay, you guys are playing B, you're on A, period. You know, I don't know. How many can we have on the bench for A team? 15?
As many as you want.
As many as you want, because when I was in school, you could only have
With the exception of
15
a
dressed out.
tournament, You could actually suit in the game as many as you want, with the exception of tournaments dictate 12-man roster or.
Well, and does it have to necessarily be the same girls each night? That is on A team? I mean,
No.
can you rotate the seventh grade
Yeah, like I
up
say,
and then the sixth grade into the seventh, the B team part? I mean, like you said, when you have a C team game, that kind of solves the problem. But when you don't have a C team,
Give you more quarters to get everybody in, that's what it does, it solves that problem. But like, I want to go back to that last Monday or Tuesday, whatever night it was, we was over at Dyke. Okay, our 18 girls won a game, first time in over 2 years, they won that game. But I will watch because she and it worked out probably in her benefit because the way Dayton does things, the 18 plays first.
oh,
Yeah, oh, no doubt about it, a tremendous advantage that our league doesn't do it that way though. I'll tell you that. But the 18 play first, but we're up 5 and she's trying to get some other 7th graders in because only the 7th and 8th graders are suited for the 18 game. Well, now we're down 2. Because,
Mhm.
you know, some of them.
I'm not saying,
That's for sure, girl, and anyway, it worked out, they ended up winning, get a bucket at the end and won.
I'm not saying that everybody has to play every night.
Right.
Like Little League Baseball, when I coached that was painful.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
I'm not saying it, to me, I don't, you know, I played a lot of sports where I never played a second, just part of the team.
I would think if we're in an environment where we're not playing the best, putting the best players on A team and then the second best on B team. Obviously, we're not in that environment. Because we're not in that environment, we can't have some kids starting and playing full A team games and playing down on the B team. in my opinion, because we're not, by not allowing a certain group of kids to play on the varsity, we're going to everybody plays every night. And if you're gonna do that, you need to do that.
Yeah, I agree.
That's my observation. And if some of these things on the head coach are true, if the head coach is giving directives and not following what our superintendent and principal are telling him to do.
Well,
Well, that's hearsay.
I'll say this, I can't say I've ever told a coach how to coach.
Exactly. And
I mean,
And-
I will say that we hire them to coach, even though maybe it fits my philosophy, maybe it doesn't. I mean, I haven't, you know, I mean, so I can't say I've ever, hey, you need to go suit this person, suit that. you need to
Yeah,
suit this person.
I
I'm
agree.
not that practice. I don't feel comfortable running that predicament, Jason, I'll tell you that, but I do, I mean, I understand, hey, the expectation is, I mean. if I was just there,
With 22
figure out
kids,
your top
no
eight.
girls should be playing 6 quarters a night. If that's happening, somebody needs to talk to, because we're not playing in that environment,
I
because
don't
we're not
think
playing the
that,
best
I don't
players
think
up.
that Kira, I think it should be noted here because there's people watching in public. I do not think that Kira ever meant anything evil with that plan. I think she was trying to get those girls some playing time at their level. Would you agree with that, Tom?
Mhm.
That's what her
No,
goal
no,
with that
no,
was.
and I,
It
yeah.
was not to cut anybody out of playing time. It was trying to develop somebody that could bring the ball down the court during an 18 games, what her goal with that was. That's why she was doing it. So I don't think it's fair to cut her down on Facebook. I mean, I just don't think that that's fair for a second, because I don't think that she meant anything. And I don't think she was trying to cut other girls playing time out. I think she had a goal and a purpose. And it's like Tom said, if we're not giving coaches directives and we're trusting them to do the job, at some point you have to let them do the job that you hired them to do.
and the assistant coach has to follow the directives from the head coach. They can't go rogue on the head coach.
I agree.
But from the information I've received, the head coach needs to not do some of the things she's been doing. We can't talk about that out here. But there's been groups and associations and private meetings rumored to have happened.
Well, that's where it comes with, everybody has to meet together, and maybe Derek and Tom need to be in on these meetings with the coaches and what we can discuss that.
Well,
But as far as the teams go, I am cool with the coaches having the decision on who they play where. But understanding that the goal of junior high basketball is preparing
All the
ones to go to
kids, all
junior
the
high, I mean,
kids,
to high school.
all of them,
Mhm.
6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
I think it's up to the coaches to decide where they play, but it's up to that head coach to decide.
Absolutely.
I could be way off. And if someone else thinks 6th graders need to just be on B team, that's fine too. Because I just need to know what the goal is of junior high basketball and what we want to do with that goal as a board. Because at some point there needs to be like adults being adults and making decisions. And this is the way it is. But Jason's already spoken earlier, so he's done.
so I think where Tom and I need some direction so that we can better help the direction of the coaches. Because you have, you've got some coaches that have been around basketball, but they haven't been coaches for a long time either. And part of that is a learning experience and understanding things. As an educator, I believe this is year 26, coaching, administrating, teaching. The general philosophy of junior high sports has always been preparing them for that next level. So your focus is fundamentals getting them better. Junior high, there's no such thing as equal playing time. But the philosophy is if you're out there and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing every day at practice, you see the court. For some kids, that may be 15 minutes. For some kids, that may be 1 minute. But everybody at the junior high level should get to step on the court. My philosophy and in the conversations I've had with Tom is when it comes to that young group, the sixth grade group, if we're truly trying to get them prepared for the next level, they need to prepare not just as individuals, but they need to prepare as a team also. So if you take a group of kids as sixth graders and you take that group and you break it up, they struggle to become a team. And that's very important too for the development of your next level. Now, you can look at this across the board and say, no, we want this. We can say the scoreboard's important to us, so we better be winning versus we need to be competitive, but ultimately the scoreboard doesn't matter because at the junior high level, we're trying to get them fundamentally better. So when they hit high school, they can compete and be successful on the scoreboard at the varsity level. That is the general philosophy I have had after working with and coaching kids for the last 26 plus years. Doesn't mean I'm right, but that's also because I'm the leader. That's the philosophy that gets pushed down. If as a school board, you want to say, no, we want to change that philosophy a little bit, it doesn't hurt my feelings, but I think that we need some guidance, Tom and I, so we can go to the coach and say, here's the expectations. You know, we need an answer. Can sixth grade play 18? We need an answer. Does everybody that has earned a right, done what they need to do in practice, regardless of their ability, deserve time on the court every night? Because that changes how you coach too a little bit, you know, and then I would say those are the two biggest questions we need answered. When it comes to the coaching side, whether it's the head coach, the assistant coach, or whatever, part of that's a learning experience too, of understanding whose role is what and being willing to step into the role that you've been hired to do. And Tom and I can have those conversations. That's pretty easy to have. If we're going to do what's best for kids, those kids have to see the adults working together and working towards the same goal and outcome. And ultimately, we hire the head coach to be the head coach. If we don't want the head coach to be the head coach, then that's a whole different conversation. You know, but I would say for Tom and I, we need some direction from you as far as what is it that we're allowed to do with sixth grade? What are we telling the coaches they can and can't do with sixth grade? And then what's the expectation as far as who suits up, who sits on the bench, and who steps on the court? And across the board, across this table, I understand that there's going to be some differences in opinion on all of that. But if we can't come to some sort of consensus, we're not going to fix this problem.
I just hate even being in this to try to fix this problem for one.
Exactly.
Yep.
But my biggest thing is if you're a starter on A team, you don't play B team. Sixth grade to me is irrelevant. I thought we discussed that last time about the maturity level of sixth graders. As a coach, you put who you want to put where. That's how I see it. My biggest concern is if you're an A team, especially a starter, you should never play B team. You're going to see 4 times. Now, it gets complicated when you got just A and B teams playing, not A, B, and C. I don't think everybody should see the floor every game, but that's just me.
Right, well, and that's,
I'm done.
well, it didn't happen tonight because, like I say, I understand if she held 5 or 6 from shooting, I'm guessing she was suitors, starters, you know, that's still 22 minus 6. Whatever that is 16, 18,
16.
16 suited up. Can't do the math very fast. I mean.
That's just
there's
my
just a lot of
opinion.
body. You know, the perfect scenario is 15 kids after basketball.
Right.
Got it at 15. I'm saying that, I say that lightly, I mean, but I say that seriously as a basketball coach. That's my favorite number. Coached a lot of years of junior high and high school basketball before coming to this role. 15 is the perfect number.
And maybe in the future, we need to say that there are tryouts. And then that would, but at this point, we can't do that because we already have.
We had tryouts in junior high where I went to school, and the reason we only had 15 uniforms.
Because I thought when we talked about the sixth graders would only come up if there needed numbers on that BE team. If the seventh graders were weak, that they would be playing C and maybe some B. That's the way I understood it.
For sixth grade,
Pardon?
for sixth grade,
Yes, yes, yes. And the way this has turned out for me, it's probably the worst vote that I've ever made.
That's a bold statement, Tom.
Yeah.
Big
I
swallow.
said, he said, quite a few. Yeah, exactly.
What are
The,
you drinking over there?
the worst.
and I'll be honest, I have had a couple conversations with some parents that I've said that the way this is going, this may be the last time this particular board ever allows sixth grade to do anything. I mean, it is.
I
Because
agree. I agree.
I agree. I hope the rest of you guys do that. This is ridiculous.
It is.
I think if there's a need for the players,
They're in sixth grade. They're not in junior high. End of
Exactly.
discussion. But that doesn't fix now. But
No, it doesn't.
I'm gonna go out there and say I'm with Jason. If they're shooting varsity, they don't play B team.
Okay, now, if they're suiting up for varsity, or if they're.
If they're suiting,
Or starting.
they're suiting up
Because you've
for
got
the
seventh
varsity
graders that are
level,
suiting
that's
up
gonna
for
be 7 or 8
18, you're not
kids.
seeing a lot of playing time, so.
How
do
many
they not
kids is
deserve
it that
B
suit
team
for
playing time?
varsity?
Usually 12, 10 or 12.
And there's some of them
Oh,
that don't
geez,
hardly
okay,
set
you
up to
can't
get on
do
the
that.
that's the
floor.
reason why I just picked the starters.
Okay.
Or the top
Usually you
7, the
shoot 10
two
or
good
12.
subs.
Okay, then
So
retract.
typically they're on 18, there's typically 7, it's the main players. And that's,
Then I would say, I'm with you. They don't play B team. Just don't. They're gonna get their time.
I would like the head coach to make the decision. There's what they were hired for. We've wasted almost 20-some minutes here.
Sad thing is, I think the boys, as we talked earlier, the boys, coaches can handle the situation and would appreciate being able to play sixth graders, to field a team of 8th, 7th, and 6th graders and field them how they see to choose. Our girls team can't handle that, so that's why we're talking about it.
And I think it comes down to, you got, like I said, you got 8 8th graders out in the boys team. There's definitely,
A split.
Makes it a definite A team, and then the rest are B
you
teams.
know, that girls, you got 3 8th graders, and they're physically mature enough. I'm not saying, they're skilled enough, but they're mature enough to not be out of place on an 18 court. And you got a couple 7th graders that are that way. They're not out of place, but you know, where our girls are weak at on the 18 court is we do not have guard play. That is where some of those 6th grade girls are probably a little more skilled at, but they've been playing more of that. I'm not lobbying for that. No, I got the same philosophy. Your top, definitely your starters and your maybe top 5, 6 shouldn't suit. That's still a lot of body suit B team. If you're not, I'm not saying that. I don't know what. My short mask.
well, I don't think, none of us want to put numbers. You have to do this, have to do that. I think that, if the coach feels you got A and B, and okay, you guys, the 18, you top 12 are going to dress for 18. You're not playing B, period. But that's a decision I don't feel like we should be making.
I guess my question is, because like I say, when I took the consensus of the board, when we approved sixth grade participation, they wouldn't go past B team. Is that off the table? They can go past B team if the coach so desires?
I think
They
so.
go to 18
My
if they want.
opinion, just my opinion.
I don't think so.
I wouldn't.
I don't
wouldn't.
think so
That's my
either.
question,
wouldn't.
yes. Because like I say, I took it from when you approved it, it wouldn't go past B team, but I'm asking a question now.
No.
And yeah, there's some boys and girls both that are sixth graders are talented enough to play A team, but you're splitting up the groups. You're bringing sixth graders up to be less successful than they are on a B team. I think what we had originally there was a good cutoff there. So hey, A team just seventh and eighth grade. I was surprised that wasn't in the minutes.
No, I made the motion. I made the motion to allow sixth grade to play only. That was it.
I don't think
There was a lot of conversation that night.
There was a lot of conversation,
It was
but I-
just
I
a
made a
little
simple motion.
Yeah, and I took it from the conversation.
I know, it's Susie's fault.
Yeah.
So do we need to have a motion?
I don't see consensus on this yet.
I don't either.
I mean, that,
I don't know why we have to have a
don't
motion.
think
If we
we
just
have-
have a straw poll and run with it, to me.
and that's fine too. I think the current state that we're in,
What do you
The-
still have questions about, Eric?
Yeah, what are you?
whether or not sixth grade plays above B team. And then, if where we're at as far as starting A team and who can and can't play B team. I think those are our two biggest questions that our parents need to understand. This is what we're doing as a school district. And then Tom and I will direct the coaches. This is the expectations. And if you can't follow those expectations, then this isn't going to work.
My basketball etiquette would be the starters, maybe and that numbers, but the starters
Your
absolutely
core
don't
team.
go down.
Yeah.
Maybe your top seven, they don't play no B team. So you can allow the other kids to get some playing time.
So the bottom five,
That's my basketball etiquette right there. I hate to see a team roll in there with their starters on the B team, murder another team.
That's not happening, Jason. That's
This
not
is what
happening.
I do not,
That group
this
of
is what I
girls
do not like to
fly
see.
and leave, they try.
I've seen it happen before and I don't like it. I don't like the scene of that.
so
It looks
the,
petty.
so the bottom five on the A team of the 12 can go down and play
That's,
B team.
to me, that's always, that's how really it's typically, the bottom half of the A team typically plays a little B team,
Like a,
but not the
like,
top half.
right, like a quarter or two or
Yeah.
a quarter.
But the top half of the A team doesn't usually come down to B team, typically. My opinion, that's my basketball etiquette.
Like, so there's nothing against you, but I would say my philosophy lines up. If I knew I had a varsity sub that was gonna play in all four quarters, he wouldn't play JV. Sub or two, I will say that. That was my general philosophy.
And that might.
But
be
if I knew I had
for it.
tweeners, they may play if there's foul trouble, they may not. If there's not, and so I would probably try to sneak in a couple quarters of JV in, just so I know they got on the court. And then I still had them for 3 or 4 quarters, knowing if player A, player B gets in foul trouble, I had subs. I mean, I was just my general philosophy. But I would say, I would recommend we don't make that an actual policy. But
I don't think
I
that this
think-
scenario warrants policy changes.
I don't either. I think it's
Because
the numbers.
policy changes are something that is written.
I think the issue is
And
the
then you do
numbers.
that for this case, and then next year it's a whole different
Yeah.
scenario, and we have to rewrite policy. And if we have to do that, means our policy stinks, then,
Mhm.
I mean, that's just not appropriate to rewrite policy every year on a case-by-case basis. That means you have poor policy.
So I kind of like how Tom worded it. That if you have an 18 player that you expect to play in all 4 quarters of the 18 game. That
I wouldn't even
player-
say all 4 quarters in junior high. That's just me.
As far as who can't come down
Right,
to B team.
right.
So your players, so you're basically it would be your starting 5 and maybe your
Right.
your first 2 off the bench. because more than likely those 7 are gonna play in all 4 quarters. Those cannot come down to B2, okay? Anybody else on that varsity bench can, because they're not playing a lot of varsity either. And then kind of what I'm seeing across the board is 6th grade doesn't go above B team. Is that consensus?
I know there's 3
Goes
that
with me.
said yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that is consensus.
So Tom and I will direct our coaches on basically your top 6 or 7 18 players cannot play B team. 6th grade cannot go above B team. And as coaches, we need to work together, and the head coach is the ultimate say.
And I do think that when you do meet with these coaches, to let them know that like organization is key.
Mhm.
To know who's still there, who you need to play, write it all out. So you know, like, oh my goodness, she's been sitting there all night and she hasn't played yet. It's junior high ball. I need to put her in.
Well, and that's where, that's how the coaches need to work. And that's
Right.
the role
So
of
it's about,
the assistant coach is, this kid hasn't played yet, we need to get him in. And on the opposite side, because usually your assistant coach runs your JV or your B team.
Right.
And your head coach in that role then needs to be the one that's saying, Bobby Sue didn't get in,
Yeah.
or Billy didn't get in yet, we need to get him in for 30 seconds or whatever it is. Like I said, I will never agree that equal playing time is a thing, because it's not. But I truly believe, especially at the junior high level, if you've done everything you're supposed to practice and you've worked hard, regardless of your ability, you need to see the court.
I mean, grades come first, but we have. that
Oh,
policy
absolutely.
in place.
Yeah.
And then after that, yes.
Got that captured, Susie? Because I think we're ready to move on.
Please.
Okay. 9.3, approve the 4 out-of-district students.
So one thing before, you need to approve these guys because we've let them start and everything, but I'm going to tell you, we need to address our open enrollment policy. I never would have thought that every single new kid that we have moved in would all end up in the same grade level. And we had another 6th grader show up today. And this isn't the one that I've told you about, so that would technically make 29 in that
didn't we
classroom.
already do that?
I thought you had somebody cap.
We did not. When we set the open enrollment policy, we did not cap elementary. So this
So where
is
did these kids live?
the Zine and Ransom. That these,
And have they previously been going to school in Western Plains?
2 of them are preschool, which we had space for. And then 2 of them were homeschool kids that live in Ransom. I will tell you, these 4 kids have been good kids since they've been in. They're not problem kids. But we have one more 6th grader moving in, and I'm guessing he's living in our school district. His dad's boss isn't listening to me. I'm guessing the home that they are trying to get into is within our school district, but he'll be here after Christmas. He'll start with us, but we had another family show up at the high school today that's got a 6th grader that's from Bazine. So we probably, after this, need to go ahead and approve a cap of no more than 25 out of district students in, or no more than 25 in a classroom, beginning tonight after you approve
So
these
if
kids.
somebody moves in, that's not, we
We
don't have
can't-
to
we
approve
can't-
that. That's,
Well, yeah, if someone
automatic.
moves in, we can't stop them from coming.
Okay.
Out of district kids, we can.
I
We said that-
agree with her. I thought that you insinuated to us that we had that.
I think,
cap.
I think most of it was we dealt with a lot of the high school and the amount of per
If we
kids
set the
per
cap, Derek, does that mean that
course,
if we have
class
in-district
over there.
students, we
I
have to split that
thought we
class?
had that.
and still
No.
have the cap?
I think.
No, but
I
what,
don't think I remember.
where
is
it gets us in trouble is,
algebra two.
that's gonna be an argument
This
from
next
parents.
one, Yeah.
So we don't necessarily have a hard and fast rule that says you can't have more than this many kids in a classroom, but if you say your enrollment is capped at a certain number, then, that in-district parent can very easily come to the board and say, you said there can't be more than this many kids in a classroom. And not necessarily fully understanding the situation or the policy is more focused on the open enrollment and out-of-district kids. So it does put school districts in a position where it can be difficult in that situation because, and I think everybody around this table would agree too. If we could find a teacher, which we would have split sixth grade a long time ago. But not finding a teacher. So it does make it tough. When we went through the open enrollment policy that we approved, the idea was we really didn't, at that time, didn't have any elementary classrooms that we were expecting to just balloon. And it just happens that sixth grade got nailed with new kids this year. Everybody that seemed to move in had a sixth grade kid. So those numbers ballooned in there. But I think we're at a point we can't take, after these, we can't take any more out of district kids in that classroom. If we could find another teacher, it would be one thing. But right now I have 0 applicants. We've advertised that position for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, not a single application. So I don't. We need to protect the kids that we have now. We don't have much of a choice of someone moving into town or taking those kids. But I think we need to add to our policy tonight that we're not taking any more out of district kids.
Say you hit the cap and then you have somebody move into district. Do you
Mhm.
bump an out of district student out or
You
just
can't.
ride it through the
So
year?
you can't.
Yeah, you can't.
Just let her go till next year. What about the same 31 come back, the cap's at 30? Do you tell them, no, sorry, you're not welcome there this year?
Yeah, basically it's a lottery draw. So the next year, this is how many kids can be in that classroom. We've hit that. Sorry, we don't have a spot for you anymore.
But you have 3 in-district kids that move in, they have to be able.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't turn that kid away.
And we don't get in trouble by being overcrowded if we've set the limit at 20 and we have 23
No.
because 3 in district came in.
No.
We don't get in trouble for
No.
that.
Now, the policy is strictly directed at kids that do not live within our geographical boundaries as a school district.
So will you look for a cap on sixth grade only for the rest of the year? Or are you looking for a
I would
cap
say,
for
I
every
would say
class?
that the motion probably needs to be elementary is capped at no more than 25 students to allow out of district.
Do we need to approve these kids first?
Yes.
And that is for
I
this
think,
year
I
or
think
moving
they
forward?
deserve that.
That'd be,
Well, so the way the policy is written is I will bring you cap numbers every year.
so
so
we'll
in
approve
May,
caps at the
yeah,
beginning of the year.
Yeah,
after
well,
this.
actually, April or May, I will
Okay.
bring you number, these are the caps. Like I said, I wasn't expecting this. This is not something that I foresaw happening. I figured we'll take just about anybody as long as you don't have a bad track record and and it may push us up to 2021 kids. We can handle that. We just happen to have a year when every new kid that came in was a sixth grader.
All right, I'll do the first one if someone else will do the second. Okay, I approve these, make a motion that we approve these 4, do I have to say the names?
Mhm.
Okay, these 4 students.
Second,
Got a motion second, all in favor, all opposed.
I move that we cap our elementary class sizes to 25 in relation to out of district students.
Second,
All in favor, all opposed. 9.4, the 24-25 school calendar.
If you have suggestions, we're just now, I haven't even looked at it and probably won't look at it until February sometime. But as you look and think about this past school year, thoughts on how it played out, if you're hearing from parents on different things. I know a lot of our neighboring school districts took the entire week of Thanksgiving off. Right now, the way negotiated agreement is, those days just have to be added someplace else. So keep those type of things in mind. But as you think about the way the school year went, give suggestions on what next year's calendar look like.
What about the day after our Thursday night district football or extra game, district
Mhm.
game, whatever? What about that? We used to take that Friday off.
I ended up
I thought-
moving it so it aligned with parent teacher conferences. So we weren't trying to do parent teacher conferences that last week of regular season football.
Mhm.
And that was kind of an ask of the teachers because they like having a day off the week we do parent teacher conferences. Because that, you've
But
got
if
a
we,
late
if we get
night.
to a situation where we have to travel on a
It-
Thursday night, it would be
it-
nice to having that Friday off.
Yeah, it
those
can make it
kids.
late for those night. It's also state volleyball. Is
And
that
then-
Friday? And that's why a lot of times it gets taken off is you're just planning. I don't know the last time volleyball made the state. It's been a lot longer than 10 years. And that's kind of why I wasn't real worried about it. And that initial game, I mean, you do have some potential depending on how conferences are aligned to make it a long travel, but it shouldn't be any more than a normal travel, you know, a St. John or a Maxville or something like that.
Well, not this year. Last year we went to meet first, you know, that, and that's a midnight.
Yeah.
When you get home.
Okay, moving on, 9.5, staff evaluations.
Just letting you guys kind of know where we're at. Elementary evaluations for the teachers that needed evaluation for the fall are complete with the exception of one signature. And then we'll start working on spring evaluations. If you recall negotiated agreement as far as the teacher, teachers get 2 evaluations, one fall, one spring in their first 2 years, one evaluation their third, one evaluation their fourth, and then we evaluate the teachers every 3 years after that. So there's 2 years they don't get an evaluation, 2 years they don't, an evaluation as far as that works. Elementary, like I said, except for one signature didn't need to be made, are completed. Tom, on yours, where are you at?
Like, I got three of my staff people that I evaluate with Fort Hayes. So actually, 3 of them have already had 2 evaluations this semester. They'll have 2 evaluations next semester too. I do that together as I'm the university supervisor for Fort Hayes for the 3 transition to teach / student teaching. Actually, I just pick that back to one student teacher, obviously will become a teacher, so he'll just have 1 evaluation through just our team. And then I'll have 2 new staff that are in their second year. With anybody else in the third year, I need to have that scheduling after this work.
Is that all we have on that? Okay. 9.6, appoint a negotiations team. Volunteers?
I will.
Do no? One more?
I would do it.
Got it. Lori, Russell, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to appoint
Thank
Russell
you,
King
not
and
good
Lori
enough.
Peterson.
Got a motion?
Second,
And a second, all in favor? If you guys want, I can sit with you guys, kind of get you up to speed of where we left off last year, if that would help. If not,
for the last 15 years.
you'll do fine. 9.7, review busing of Sacred Heart students.
We had that conversation. You guys wanted to kind of have an update of where we're at halfway through the year. So far, the bus drivers say it's worked well. We did have an issues at the very beginning with a couple parents that didn't pay. One parent decided they can't afford it, so they're not riding the bus. Everybody else has been caught up. Hasn't added a whole lot of time to the bus routes or anything. It seems to be working well.
Thank you. 9.8, executive session for personnel.
Start with 30.
So moved.
All in favor? Or second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
I was thinking 9:30 wasn't that.
Just change that deal.
Yes.
I can't. I didn't hear you.
Why would they bring that up to the school? Have a discussion with that. A coach's decision. They, their vote. In the past, when somebody plays, all the coaches have to. Discussion.
I'll see you and I'll let you know.
Okay, yeah.
Sure you guys don't want any snacks? I will bring you some.
Yeah. It was just- Well, they're doing it. I brought them up last year. I brought them up. He goes to this year. That's it. Try and say, if it means that God is. It says that you can't, Sam's not gonna do. No, it's gonna be thank you. So he wants it back to the vendor shop, thank you. Oh, I see, yeah. That's what we must use. Sam's not there? Oh.
Yeah. I'm not. I think we, what we got, 42? Let's start with 10. I think we can do it in 10.
So move. Second.
All in favor? Good. I think it's very.
Well, we'll agree to disagree on that.
Exactly.
Okay, we'll move forward here. 9.8. The termination of Susan Sternberg, the resignation of Charlene Higgins.
So move.
Second,
All in favor? We'll move to the Alpha and Bravo, the hiring. Approve Kim Sugar for substitute cook. Girls basketball supplemental to Ashley Klotzenberg.
So move.
Second. All in favor?
Move to adjourn.
second.
All in favor? Tom, beat you. You always second
Slow.
that.
I'm slow.